Many of the mysteries. Up next, we've also got, obviously, another iconic one, 0 Hour. Let's start from the top. Can you explain, Rob, the concept behind Trevor? You've obviously got an homage to him on your...
I have my shirt, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about what this original concept was?
So Trevor was really inspired by this. There's this Japanese game show called Takeshi's Castle, and it's been around a while. And it's great because it has all these physical challenges and people getting knocked down or, you know, flipped over and stuff and trying to get through things. And there's just a lot of comparisons to what we try to do in Destiny. And we've borrowed from that show and shows like it for a long time for cool ideas. And they have this one bit where the contestants try to get up this hill. And there's this big fake boulder that comes down the hill.
Yeah.
Right? And there's these little like side rooms, you know, like little pockets that they can try to get into. And so we were like, man, if we had something like that in the middle of this mission, that would be amazing, right? Like, and so we had this thing that we called, there it is.
Yeah, we got some concept art up on screen now.
So we had this thing that we called the hazard for a long time. The hazard is going to get you, right? And it's going to come down at you. And on the left, you can see the original whiteboard drawing of what this could look like. And there you see the hill with the slots.
Yeah.
We basically lifted off of Takeshi's Castle.
Yeah.
And then that evolved into what we eventually made as a maze, right? And then there's the very first drawing of Trevor. And on the right, you can see a concept art by one of our artists named Fan Gao. And when I looked at it, it had a bit of a vacuum cleaner look. You know, it didn't quite nail the fear, you know, which we might talk about in a second here. So then on the far right, you can see the centipede legs and the light and the final revision. That's pretty close to how Trevor ended up.
Yeah, it definitely it feels terrifyingly familiar in some ways, we'll say. And I, you know, kind of while we're on the legs,
Good job, Tom.
which brings up honestly another great example I'd love to touch on as well is, you know, as a guardian myself, we've felled gods. We've fought some of the most difficult battles in the universe, whether it's against our fellow guardian or the many foes that set foot inside the solar system. When it comes to Trevor in particular, it elicits a very primal, sincere fear. How did you guys kind of elicit that from players who have obviously conquered so much?
Well, I think there's this like satisfaction from scaring people that's inherent in everybody. Like we've all scared somebody, I think, at some point. It's just super fun, right? So what could we do in Destiny to actually make people feel fear? And the team was super excited about how to try to tackle that problem. Because you're right? Like Guardians can just jump away and we kill everything and we're just gods.
Invisible and dodge away.
Yeah, exactly.
To do it, yeah.
So how do you scare our players in the game, right? So the first step was drop you in a maze.
Yeah.
There's something in there that you cannot kill. You can't jump up because the ceiling is just above your head, right? So those were the first three things. This thing is faster than you. So you know you're in there with something that you can't kill that can go faster than you. And then of course we did the centipede bottom, which I have this particular phobia of centipedes. Like
the fact that you took something that is such a fear and put it front and center, honestly, like it's commendable.
I watched this video like a week ago where this dude takes a giant centipede and lets it bite him on the arm.
Why would you do that to yourself?
I don't know. I almost passed out like watching this video. So centipedes terrify me. And so I thought the bottom of this thing just has to be sideways centipede legs that are made out of metal and they just grind you up when it catches you. And then the final piece of the formula for this thing really was to put a super bright light on it that would shine as a shadow caster across past your body so you can see your own shadow as you're trying to get away. And honestly, like a lot of it was inspired by the anxiety that I feel, and I think folks on the team also felt when we talked about like the trope of a subway that's coming around the corner. Right.
So you see that finite just clock running out in front of you.
You see the light coming and then you see the thing. And so that really helped us figure out how to make this thing as freaky as possible.
This time, no Indiana Jones laying down on the tracks hoping for the best here. Not a chance. Trevor's going to chew you up, honestly. So also, we found ourselves now, we're in the beginning stages here of the Whisper we can see on screen. Willie, we kind of touched on this briefly over the course of the Whisper, but can you tell us a little bit about what it was like sort of reinventing these combat spaces and these encounters for Guardians in a modern sandbox, especially those that are going to have the Brave arsenal available to them?
Yeah, so just now you saw a brig in this encounter, which there wasn't one before. I think there's the desire to keep the soul of the activity, which is that, oh, there's time pressure, on me to finish this activity quickly, and also I'm going up against powerful enemies that are trying to stop me from doing that.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that the combat still felt challenging, even in today's sandbox, so we added some new combatants with the brig. And we also just increased the number of combatants, period, so that players had more to do with their more diverse and deadly tools.
Yeah, Guardians have plenty of those available to them. When you were developing these combat spaces as well, were there any moments where you really thought to yourself, like, all right, this is it. Like, we've really centered in on what was great about this mission originally, but this is going to be appropriately challenging for today's Guardians?
Yeah, I think when we play tested it, and we had everybody load up with their like new maneuverability tools, their swords, their grapples, to go through the activity, and then we were expecting that, like, oh, people are going to breeze through this like it's nothing, like the original 20-minute timer has to become something else. But really, all of that translated over pretty well. Like, the individual sections are self-contained enough that, like, you can't bypass too many things by just using one new tool.
Sure.
The whole thing sort of still felt like 0 hour, even with your new toolbox.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Even with, we're going to go ahead and jump forward here a little bit as well, using our dev tools to take a look at Trevor as well. So for the folks out there that want to reinstill that fear in themselves, now's a brief chance to check it out. Also, too, is we're in a world where, there's strand grapples, there's shatter skating. When it came to kind of redesigning these activities, or even making, I guess, alterations more appropriately on these activities, with one like Trevor, for example, what was the challenge that you kind of had to overcome with those new movement tools in addition to the combat tools that players have available to them?
Yeah, I guess philosophically, I want to make sure that if people were speccing into being highly maneuverable,